Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for coming and spending some time with us today. Before we get started with the main part of our presentation, there's just a few basics that I need to cover here. Our legal friends first off ask us to make sure and remind you that the webinars that we present are not financial, tax, or legal advice. So not all of the information that we present is appropriate for all people. We just want to make sure that you know that we're not responsible for your investing or personal reporting decisions. Now, just some basics about our webinars, if you've never attended one before, is you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen you do have some controls there. If you do have any questions during the course of the webinar, please submit those, particularly in the questions box, not the chat box, again, but the questions box. I will be checking periodically throughout it to see if there are any questions that do need to be answered. And if anything needs to be represented or rediscussed, I will go over that towards the end of the presentation to cover any questions that may still need to be answered. Also, if you're having any trouble hearing the audio, you may not be hearing this right now, obviously, then, but if it's cutting out or all patchy, you can always call into our phone conference system if it's not coming in very clearly through the speakers. You can call in from your home or cell phone, and there's a PIN number there, and you can dial into the system and listen to the webinar that way as well. My name is Caleb Huckster. I'm going to be your presenter here today going through this presentation. I work in the support department as the TradeLog support leader, kind of overseeing all the support goings on in our company. So I'm going to be going through this presentation and talking about the 10 best practices for TradeLog users. Now, the thought kind of behind this presentation was that we in the support team found that there were a couple good pointers that we thought could be put together into a webinar here to show you how to make TradeLog easier to be used. And so what we did was we came up with the 10 key things, what we call best practices that are going to help you to become a better user of TradeLog. And what I'm going to do is go through those 10 not only, but also show you how to apply them and how to understand how they're going to benefit your overall experience of using the software and how they can make it easier for you to use. So let's go ahead and get started into it here. What I'm going to be doing is spending about 4 to 5 minutes per subject. We have 10 of them here, so that's going to put us right about an hour. What we'll do is I'll show some screenshots here, also go through some live demonstrations in the software and talking about these subjects. So let's go ahead and get started right off with number 1 here. One of the main things that we all kind of put our heads together and came up with right off the bat that we thought would be important was the regular importing of data. This is probably the number one thing that we could not highly recommend anymore to all of our users that call in to please regularly import your data. It depends on how active of a trader you are, but what we found is professional users of TradeLog find it best to import at least on a monthly basis. Very active traders, if you're trading, more, couple thousand trades per year, 5, 6, 10,000 trades per year, we're actually really going to recommend that you import even more often than that, which would be at least probably on a weekly to, if not daily basis. Now, some of the benefits as to how this is going to help you. Well, why should I import it? Your software is supposed to be just for year-end. I import my trades, spit out my scheduled D, and I'm done. Well, that is true, but you'll see, I'm sure some of you are used to seeing what happens at year-end. You end up running into some things that can complicate the process a little bit. Things such as brokerage data becomes a little less accurate. You'll have the risk of importing CUSIP numbers, tickers become obscure or converted into descriptions. So importing regularly is going to help you to avoid this. You won't run into that data that is not properly labeled. Also, if you've been using TradeLog for a while, I'm sure you've heard the expression negative shares or mismatching trades. If you keep up with these type of things and try to handle them as they come along throughout the course of the year, you're not going to run into this problem where you have things piling up on the end of you or the end of the year there. We know that brokers don't report corporate actions, things such as stock splits, mergers, spin-offs, things of that nature. If you import regularly, you can handle these type of corporate actions as they come along. And again, instead of letting that all pile up at the end of the year for you. So again, another benefit, regularly importing will help you keep track and keep up to date with these type of things if you have anything that is mismatching. Another great benefit is we have another webinar where we talk about TradeLog more than just taxes. Again, the primary focus of TradeLog is to be used for taxes, but we do have some other great tools that can be used for analyzing your portfolio. And if you are regularly importing your data, again on a monthly if not weekly basis, you'll be able to take full advantage of these performance and chart and reporting tools that TradeLog has to offer. So that way you can kind of drill down into your account, see where you stand, analyze previous trades, and kind of get up-to-date or up-to-date information of where you stand with your account. Also, one of the best things that we thought really would be helpful is that when it comes time for year-end, when it's time to run your reports, it makes it much more easy, really a breeze, because you don't have to worry about, well, where did I leave off last year? What do I got to do this year? I got to try to get 13 months worth of data in. I don't remember what I did 2 months ago. So it removes all of that question from the equation. You are up to date. You have to import the last maybe week or two of trades, last month. Get those trades in, verify information, make any necessary adjustments, and you're ready to file. So it really removes part of the stress, at least from this portion of your tax return during tax time. So lots of benefits. You'll see that throughout the course of this presentation, I'm actually going to refer back to how all of those really tie into regular importing. So a big one, keep your files up to date. If you can, what we find is that people will once a month, at the bare minimum, when they receive their monthly statement, is usually a good reminder to, well, maybe I should just jump on my computer real quick, open up TradeLog, and run an import and get my files up to date. So once a month at least, keep those files up to date and regularly importing. All right, so moving on to our next one here. The next one we found will be very important was checking your open positions. Now, if you've used TradeLog, again, for some time, you've probably remember or have done in the past checking your open positions at year-end. And this is for uses of verification purposes so that we can make sure what TradeLog is showing coincides with what your brokerage statement is showing. And again, the reason for that is that we can make sure the data is matching up. You've got the correct holdings. They're going to be pushed forward to the next year. Now, what some people don't realize is that you can actually check those open positions more than just at year-end. You're not stranded to just only viewing them as of December 30th. As you, again, regular import throughout the course of the year, let's say on a monthly basis when you get that monthly statement, what a lot of people will do is check their open positions at the end of that month. Now, what that will do is it will help you catch any necessary adjustments. Let's say that you had a stock split, whereas your holdings were reduced, your cost basis stayed the same, and therefore in the TradeLog file, when you check your holdings, you're showing too many shares. This will tell you right there that there's something's wrong. There's an adjustment that needs to be made. So by catching that, we can then go and try to figure out what it is, make an adjustment for spin-off, a merger, a ticker change, stock split, make that adjustment. That way our account will reconcile. We now have handled that when it happened and not at the end of the year when we're trying to remember back 6 months before what happened. So really this will help make it easier for you to identify these type of adjustments, because if it comes to year-end, you might have multiple adjustments on the same security. It's going to be harder to identify the course of what happened. So keep it up to date. Do it on a regular basis. Check those open positions as you're regularly importing at the end of each month. You'll be able to keep up with adjustments throughout the course of the year. And really, this is going to help maintain the accuracy of the data in your file because, again, when it comes to year-end and you're ready to file your taxes, we're more likely to make mistakes when we have to do 10 things at once, whereas if we keep up to date with them. So really try to keep up to date with that. Check your open positions at the end of each month. I can trust me on this one, it's going to, you'll see benefits from it. Now another function of it that is helpful is the get current prices function, and I'm going to show you here in TradeLog what I'm talking about. You're probably familiar with that open positions box there, so I'm going to click that. Click on open, which is right next to all here. Alright, now this file is a 2011 sample file created for this presentation here. You can see that as of now it's currently up to date through May 31st. Alright, so we have a couple of functions here. We can click on year-end open positions, obviously for our year-end verification. Expiring options, one thing that if you are importing regularly and checking your open positions at the end of each month, that you would want to probably, and if you're trading options, you probably want to click this button often to make sure that you close out anything that needs to be expired. Now, the thing I wanted to show you here, though, was the Get Current Prices function. And what this is going to do is when I click this button here, TradeLog, I'll go ahead and click that now. TradeLog is going to go through and price out all of the positions that I have open in my account as of the date here that I have, basically liquidating, in a sense, artificially all these positions and showing me what my gain and loss would be. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a fake number here for all of these. Okay, so I've gone through, put in all those positions. Again, I just put in a fake number just for the course of this presentation here. So you can see what TradeLog basically did was liquidated those positions, created an artificial sell, and told me what my P&L would be if I were to sell them at the fair market value. I then can from here run a gains and loss report and see where I stand, how it would affect my account in terms of wash sales. Sometimes we might not know how those things are going to affect us until we actually see what would happen. So a great analysis tool, again, that can be used and made the best use of if we keep our data files up to date and are checking those open positions at the end of each month. So another great tool to check out there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that just by clicking on the All button. That'll clear those out and bring me back to the main data file. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next one here. The next thing that we thought would be important was use of the wash sale detail report. Now, this is not a report that gets reported to the IRS. We put this here strictly for, I guess I would say, analysis purposes, or for your benefit, really. And what this report is going to do is show you how your account stands in terms of wash sale deferrals and what's going to happen if you maintain certain positions or make January trades. Now, just as a side note here, before I get into this, we will be having a webinar coming up soon here on November 2nd. That's Wednesday, November 2nd of this year. That's going to be a wash sale specific webinar and talking about how to keep track of those wash sales and what to do with them when it comes time to year end. So that will be coming up shortly. You can register for that on our webinars page on our website. So take a look at that if you get a chance. It'll be really important and really informational to help you when it comes time to year end here. Okay, so now when talking about the wash sale detail report in terms of during the course of the year, what we recommend our users to do is run the wash sale detail report when it comes time to around November or December, because this will help you identify potential wash sale deferrals, and then you can take the appropriate action from there. And what I mean by that is you can see where your account stands, what positions have wash sales attached to them, the amount in which there is a wash sale attached to them, and then from there you can take the action as to close that position or so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you where to find that report in TradeLog here. All right, so back on our main screen here, if we go to Reports, Gains and Losses Tax Forms, for the report type, we're going to run Wash Sale Detail. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run that report. Okay, so what you can see here is the wash sale detail report that's been generated, and what this is showing me is positions that I am currently maintaining that are open. Now, this account is only complete through May, but that's okay because these positions are still showing open, and what TradeLog is telling me here is if I maintain these positions open throughout the end of the year, that is into 2012, they will actually become wash sale deferrals, okay? So again, if I maintain these positions throughout the end of the year, keep them open, they carry into 2012, they will become wash sale deferrals. Now, the amounts you can see are broken down here by security. Some people might say, well, you know, I want to liquidate all of this. I want to capture this total loss that I see here, this, you know, 16,000 almost in losses. I don't want those to become deferrals. I want to claim them. Well, other people also might say, instead of that, why don't I just close out the largest positions here that have the most wash sales? I'll liquidate those and keep the rest that are accounting for, you know, almost $13,000, $12,000 here in wash sales. So I could go ahead and close those positions out, keep the rest if I'd like. That way I can capture that loss. All right, so then also we have here what's going to be showing as wash sale deferrals that are attached to January trades. These ones you won't see until in February when you import through January 31st. or those 13 months, you won't see those showing up until then. So two ways wash sale deferrals come from: maintaining positions open at year end that carry through to the next year, that have a wash sale attached to them, will become a deferral in January trades. So again, the best practice that we saw here that would be helpful was to run this report when it comes time into November and December, maybe bi-weekly, monthly basis. So that way you can keep track of and not be shocked when January rolls around and it's too late and you've already, that's become a deferral. You can't do anything about it. So run that early, get on the ball, run that early so that way you can see where you stand before it comes too late. All right, and just a benefit that we saw, forgot to mention here, was that it may be, again, by looking at this in November, December, it could be possible to avoid the negative effects of washouts and how they'll change your P&L, and possibly you could even use the wash sale rule to your tax advantage. And that'll be, I'm not going to go into depth on that here, that'll be discussed more in depth in the wash sale presentation of that specific webinar. So sign up for that if you get a chance. It's probably very informative and will help you make the best use of the software and understanding of wash sales and how they will affect your year end. All right, we got to move along here. The next one we wanted to talk about was ending of the tax year. Now, one thing, again, if you've used TradeLog, you're probably familiar with this function, ending of the tax year. And what this function is going to be doing for you is preparing you for next tax year's filing, basically. I mean, simply put enough. When I know a lot of us, and me personally too, when you file your taxes using TurboTax or Tax Act or whatever, whenever you finish your return, you know how they ask you, start now, get prepared for 2012. And majority of the time I just click, no, I don't want to do that right now. I just want to file. I'm done with it. Well, this one you don't want to ignore. You really want to do this before next year, because a high volume of the support calls that we get from people are, well, I used your software last year. I don't know what to do this year. Where's my data file? Where's everything? Or they create a new file, they start importing and say, you said that my baselines or my carryovers would be pushed forward into the new file. They're not showing up. Where are they? So this function answers all of those questions. Okay, ending of the tax year is extremely important and needs to be done on the year in which you're filing. Now, this end tax year function, just to kind of go through really quickly what it's going to do for you. What it's going to do is carry forward your cost basis information, all those baselines. If you remember when you first started using the software, you had to manually enter positions that you held open to the year previous, all that cost basis information. Well, again, TradeLog does and will keep track of those for you by using this function right here. So you've got to run that end tax year function. It's going to carry forward those baseline or carryover positions with their cost basis. It's going to generate your wash sales, very important. It's going to generate those and push them forward into your next year. You do not want to lose those. It's also going to carry forward your January trades. You have to import 13 months worth of data in every file for each account. It's going to push those forward. And it's also going to do all of that and create a new file for you and put all of those in there. So that way when next year rolls around, when you're ready to start your next year's taxes, you pop your file open, start importing from February 1st onward, and that's it. So it's really saving you a lot of time and doing a lot of work for you in calculations that, trust me, you do not want to do by hand. So take advantage of that. We put it in the Quick Start Guide specifically for a reason before running the gains and loss report, so that way everything's done properly. It's in a sense closing out the books for that year. So again, do it before you file or before you generate your gains and loss report. Okay. Again, this is also just some benefits here. It's going to help maintain the accuracy of your files. You may lose previous year's data files if your computer crashes, you have a hard drive failure. If you've run this end tax year function, or maybe you've backed up just that file for the next year, it's going to help you save that file. That way you don't lose and have to start from scratch over again. And if you haven't used TradeLog in some time, we know that a lot of people just, they don't use TradeLog but at year end and that's it. So that's fine. For those, we don't recommend it, but for those of you that do that, that's fine. This is going to pull that question out and save a phone call from, well, it's next year, I don't know what to do. If you open up your file, you'll see you have a 2011, 2012 file sitting there ready to go. All you got to do is import it. So take the time to do this function. Don't skip it. It's so easy. You just click a button. TradeLog does all the work for you, and it takes that question mark out of next year. All right, and again, just quickly, I'll show you where you can find that in TradeLog here. If you go to File, and then End Tax Year, Create Next Tax Year Data File. Again, if I click that there, TradeLog's just going to ask me if all my information is imported. I'm going to say no here because this file is not complete, but this is the message that you'll get, and you'll want to hit yes at your end. So just make sure to do that process. All right, moving right along here again. The next one we wanted to talk about was the organization of your data files. Now, what we find a lot of times is people will end up over the course of time with a lot of commingled files all over the place. Got some stored here, some there, some on their server, some at work, some at home, and everything can kind of get a mess. And then when next year rolls around, they have no idea which is the right file, which one's the clean one, which one they were working on with support, and which one had all the problems in it. So take the time to keep your data files organized and make sure that you only have the files that you need. The default location for all data files is the My Documents TradeLog folder. So there's a specific folder in My Docs called TradeLog, and that's where all of your data files are going to be stored. And the import folder, any reports that you've run and saved are usually going to be in that TradeLog folder. So make sure, if you can, to leave that default location. TradeLog is going to function the best with them there. It's going to be really easy for you to find them when next year rolls around. You don't have to do searches on your hard drive to try to figure out where you last put them. You also we recommend to name your data files clearly to help you identify them. A lot of times people will call them 2010 Fidelity, 2010 TradeStation, 2010 E-Trade. You want to keep them simple. If you have multiple accounts at the same broker, that's fine. Usually just add in the account number will be helpful. That way you can see that it's from the same broker, just different account numbers. Keep the name simple, and that way you'll be able to easily identify which file you need to be working on or which one is representing of which account. And that's, again, we don't want to have duplicate or erroneous files because that can confuse us. We could open a file, start working on it, do a bunch of edits, and then realize that we were doing all this in a file that was junk, or it ended up being corrupted, or was in the middle of a process, and you just don't want to waste your time. So just trust us in this one. Keep your files organized, keep them properly named, and keep them in the default location. It's really going to benefit you in the end. And again, TradeLog will work easier, and it'll be more beneficial to you to keep them like that. All right, so if I'm just going to show you here also in TradeLog. If I go under File, and I go under Open, okay, you can see this is on my computer here. This is my personal computer. It's under Caleb Huckster, My Documents, and then TradeLog. That's where all the default location is for all of your data files that are going to be stored here. So keep them there if possible. All right, the next one we want to talk about was backing up your data files. Now, if you don't already have a good procedure for backing up your computer in general, we'd at least recommend trying to back up your TradeLog data files. Now, I'm sure every other software says the same thing too, but this will save you time if you have a problem like a computer crash. Backing up your files regularly, we recommend doing it at least once a year. A good time or a good reminder to do that would be after you finish the tax year. Perhaps once a month if you're more active, you would want to do so, but at bare minimum, when you finish your filing, take the time to back up your files real quickly to some type of an external device or an external location. Now, I personally have an external hard drive here. I mirror my whole hard drive usually once a month to make sure I don't lose anything. If you don't have one of those, you can run down to Best Buy or Walmart. They carry cheap little thumb drives or flash drives that you can plug into a USB port and drop on a file. It's a very small file. It doesn't require a lot of space, and you can that way keep them at a separate location. You could also burn them to a disk, like a CD-ROM, if you know how to do that. There's online backup companies. If you could do that as well. But one that I found would be helpful that I do mention to people sometimes if they don't want to do any of those, which is fine. You could also back it up via email. And the way to do this is to attach your TradeLog data file to an email and then address it to yourself. That way it will be stored on the mail server of the company that you are with, and they will be able to, then you will be able to, at any point retrieve that data file from your email and just download it. So a quick, easy, free way to back up your data files if you don't have any other means. And just a pointer here we wanted to make note of, and very important, is we do not keep your data files here. Okay, TradeLog is a PC-based system. It is based off of your hard drive. It runs on your computer, and everything is stored on your computer. So it relies on your good backing up routines, as well as the safety of your computer to keep all that information. So we will not have your data files here. We do not back them up. For slight chance, if you do call us, if you've had requested support requests in the past, we may have a data file from way back when that could potentially get you a good start, but do not count on that because we do not keep them backed up here. All right. And just a few of the points here. I just wanted to mention some of the benefits again. Files do from time to time get corrupted, just like any other Word document, Excel spreadsheet. Things can happen in transferring them. They can get corrupted. You don't want to be stuck at the point where your computer crashes, you've lost everything, all your previous year's returns, and you have to redo them, or you have to start fresh from TradeLog again, manually entering those baseline positions. So please take the time, just back it up. All these suggestions that we're mentioning in this webinar here don't take a lot of time if you keep up with them. And obviously we know that can be hard sometimes. We all are busy, but see if you can find the time. Just take a couple minutes to back these things up and keep everything up to date. Now what I'm going to do next here is just show you in TradeLog an easy way to do a backup. So in this data file that I have open here, what I'm going to do now is show you, in order to make a backup of the file that I have saved here, all I need to do is click on File and then Save As Backup. All right, what TradeLog's going to do is prompt me to give it a different name. It automatically is going to add backup in there, so I'm going to leave that as is. Then can select a new folder, and I'm going to go ahead and plop it on my desktop. And then from there, what I'm going to do is save it to my external hard drive. So I'll save that, press OK. All right, and now what I can do is I can see on my desktop here, I'll show you that, I have a 2011 sample file backup right here. So this file I can then use to plop on an external hard drive, a thumb drive, save it to my hard drive, wherever is, email it to myself, and that way I can keep it for safekeeping for later. All right, so let's move along here. All right, so the next one we wanted to talk about was keeping TradeLog up to date. Now, one thing that people fail to do is, again, when they're not using the software on a regular basis, is keeping the software up to date. If you go a year without using the software and you've come back and you're now ready to start working on your next year's taxes, you can more than bet anything that we've released quite a few updates. Brokers are constantly changing the way in which they report things with new laws that are being released by the IRS. Their websites are changing. The way in which they deliver the data is changing. So we're always making updates, and I can almost guarantee you by the time that you come back, if you've waited a year, that we have made an update for your broker, for that filter, and you're going to need the most current version of the software. So one thing that we would recommend to do is open the software on a regular basis, and you'll be doing that if you are following the number one thing we talked about, which was regularly importing. So keep the software up to date. You'll see you'll be prompted at the bottom of the screen. There's a message there that asks you, would you like to update your software, or a new version has been released. You can always check with our website to see what the most current version is. And really, this is really beneficial for you, because the fact that if we do release an update, you import with an old one, your P&L may be wrong, depending on whatever it is. The information is different, the way it's being calculated is different. So just be careful. Always make sure you have the most current version. During the course of your 1-year subscription, you do have unlimited updates available to you at free, of no charge. You purchase the software, it's yours for a year. Anything that we update is going to be allowed for you to have for free. So keep it up to date. It's not going to cost you anything but maybe a few minutes just to run the update and make sure you have the most current version. And then going into TradeLog here, I'll show you that. If I go under Help and I go on Update, what TradeLog is going to do is it's actually going to pop up the update history from our website here and show all the most recent updates that we have. You can see throughout 2011 here we've had dozen or so updates throughout the course of the year for lots of changes that are constantly being made. So you don't want to go without having all of those. TradeLog, when you press that button, is going to ask you, would you like to update your software now? I'm just going to hit no here because I already have the latest version. But if I hit yes, what it would do is download the latest version for me, and then I would be able to run that update and install it, and I'd have the most current version. And you can always check your version number by going to Help and About. In the top right-hand corner of that box, it will show you what version number you have, and you can cross-check that against what's being shown on our website. But you shouldn't really have to. If it says full registered version up here, you more than likely have the most current version, because otherwise it would be prompting you to get the most current version. All right, next up we have keeping your TradeLog subscription current. What a lot of people do also, again, if you're leaving the TradeLog software for a year and not touching it, is they'll come back and find out that they've expired. And that's not a good feeling, because you then have to renew your software, and you might have missed out on the discount that we offer for renewal customers. So by keeping up with using your software on a regular basis, you'll be able to keep track of your subscription. At the bottom of the screen of TradeLog, it will also tell you the time that you have left in your subscription. You'll have a countdown. We'll also send you out an email 30 days before, 14 days before, on the day of your expiration, and afterwards as well. You have 30 days after the point at which you expire to renew your software at a 20% discount. And we don't want you to lose that, so keep up to date with that. Make sure that you have current subscription, and we work on a calendar year, remember. So if you have bought the software today, for instance, you would expire next year on today as well. So 1-year subscription, and you can do as many tax years as you need to or can do during the term of that subscription. You can go back and file amended returns if you've been audited or need to redo a return. That's fine. During the term of that subscription, you can do anything that you need to do. Obviously, you'll be limited moving forward because of time, but during the course of that subscription, you can finish as many of those tax years. Also, again, keeping up with your TradeLog subscription is going to help keep you up to date with the support that we offer. Users with the most problems are ones that we have found that have allowed their subscription to elapse. They haven't used TradeLog in quite some time, usually a year. They just go from tax season to tax season. They run into trouble where their subscriptions expire. They've forgotten how to use the software, and it just kind of gets you into a bag of worms there. So this really all, again, stems back. You can see the common thread throughout the software or this presentation here so far is that use it regularly. It's really going to benefit you in every single one of these steps. And again, last benefit, just to recover, to kind of mention again, is that take advantage of that discount that we offer. Save yourself some money. We offer 20% off if you renew within 30 days of your expiration. So please don't let that lapse. We don't want to have you lose that discount. All right, so another thing we wanted to mention here, this one is also one that I really wanted to know was important, because if you do use TradeLog regularly and you do request support from us, it's really helpful for when you do request that support that you have good records. A lot of people we talk to are pretty good about that. We just kind of wanted to make a note to everyone. But majority of the traders that we talk to and users of TradeLog do mention that they, at least on a daily basis, will import their trades into an Excel spreadsheet, just kind of keep their own books and see where they stand, what their holdings are, so on and so forth. What we recommend also in addition to that is to keep personal copies of broker-provided monthly statements, 1099s, and other important notices regarding your tax reporting or trade history. Reason being is because these will give us clues into any type of adjustments that need to be made. You don't want to assume that your broker is going to keep these for you. You can't assume that you'll jump on your broker and say, oh yeah, they've got my data, I've got that statement back from 2005. I have seen it. That's not the case. It's definitely not that they don't, but I've seen also plenty of cases where they have nothing, and the user ends up getting themselves in a tight spot. So keep good records. Download those. You can make PDFs of them. You can print them off. You could have them mailed to you. Because if you do request a support request from us, and we need some type of detailed information, we are more than likely going to not only ask you for your data file, but a monthly statement. That way we can kind of check what happened in the account or help you see where to look for that. 1099 if we're trying to reconcile gross proceeds. So we're going to need to have you have all these types of things readily available, especially for if you're contacting us for support, but even for your own personal use, so you can make sure that TradeLog is standing where it should be in comparison with your account. This will come in helpful when you're verifying your open positions at the end of each month. When you're regularly importing, you can make sure that's matching. If you do have a stock split, an exercise, an assignment, usually there will be some type of a notification on the statement that will clue us in as to what happened there, and then we can make the necessary adjustments in TradeLog. So keep those up. It's a good idea to keep them for at least 3 years, so that way if you have to go back and file amended returns or get audited, we can request that information for you and you'll have it, and we'll be able to easily help you, and it'll speed up that support process. All right, our last one we wanted to talk about here was contacting us for support. If you need help on something, we do not want you to spend a lot of time fretting over an issue. It's very easy to get a hold of us. We have a full-time support team here at TradeLog. We're available via phones and email. We do have our 15-minute challenge. You've probably heard of this before. Now, this doesn't say that you're going to finish the whole process in 15 minutes. That's not the point of the 15-minute challenge. What it means is don't spend more than 15 minutes getting aggravated and frustrated over trying to figure something out when you could just send us a quick email with your file, give us a quick call. I bet you anything we're going to be able to figure it out for you. We haven't had a problem we've been stuck or stumped with yet that we weren't able to work through, and we'll probably be able to find the answer a whole lot faster than you will because we practically have the whole user guide memorized, and we use the software every day. So don't get frustrated. Don't spend 2 hours, 3 hours staying up all night, losing sleep early in the morning, trying to figure something out. Put it away. Get a hold of us the next day when during our support hours, and we'll be glad to help you. And again, this also means don't leave things to the last second. You don't want to wait until it's 3-4 hours before it's time to submit your filing. It's due in 2 days. Don't put yourself in that position when it's due that quickly, because you will end up contacting us, and we will not walk anybody through the entire process or do the process for you. We'll provide technical support to help you with the process. But we're here to help you, absolutely. Don't spend too much time getting frustrated on things. Don't leave it to the last second and get yourself all worked up. Give yourself plenty of time. Get this done early. Regularly import and contact us for support. I'm going to show you a couple ways in which you can do that. Directly from the software, you can always click on Help, and then you can click on Send Files to Support. Okay, what TradeLog is going to do here, let's see. Okay, yeah, so it's going to generate basically this support request form. It's going to have our name and email address in here, and then we can provide a brief description of the problem we're having. Make sure to include as many details as possible. That way we can help you with the file that you're sending. This will automatically attach the file that you have open in the background, and that will be sent off to our support team. We'll review it, take a look at it, send you back instructions. Maybe all you couldn't do is just find the set of instructions you needed, or you have a kind of a complicated adjustment and we can point you in the right direction. Send that file to us. We'll check it out. We'll give you some specific instructions on what needs to be done. You can also check out our online tutorials here if you go to Help and then Tutorial. Okay, these are all recorded by in-house by our own very own TradeLog staff. You've probably talked or recognized our voices, talked to us a lot on the phones during the support or sales department. We are not only involved in working with the software and improving it, we work on supporting it, recording the tutorials, writing the user guides, so we are very knowledgeable with it. Give us a call, get in touch with us. We're going to help you work through the problem. You can also submit a support request via this page as well here and attach up to 5 files if we do request something like a statement or a 1099 or tax forms, you can attach your TradeLog file along with those other pieces of information here. So, and again, we have the 800 number. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with us. So we do not want you to sit there and think that no one's here to help you. You're at this on your own, and you're just going to have to figure it out. That is not the type of experience that we want you to have when using TradeLog. We have had great reports back of people appreciating our support, and we're more than happy to help you figure things out. All right, so I've already kind of talked about this here, but we thought it was important to mention that not only as part of future, but as part of the things that are part of best practices for getting TradeLog or using it is to contact us for support. So I'm not going to repeat all these things here, but we are again here to support you. Get a hold of us, and we have plenty of information on the site that'll walk you through a lot of the processes of using the software. All right, so at this time we're going to go over any questions that you may have. For those of you that do have to leave right away, we want to thank you before you go here for coming and spending some time with us. We hope that this webinar has been beneficial to you. You've learned something new today. If you do take nothing else from this presentation at all, if you have had to do something else, you're busy, just listen to this one point here. Use TradeLog regularly. It's the most important and the best practice that I could possibly give you is to import regularly and open it and use it regularly. It's going to make it so much easier, and you're really going to realize how awesome of a product it is and how much easier it's going to make your life for filing your taxes. So use it regularly. We hope you'll have a good afternoon. Again, thanks for coming and spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you soon.